Okay, hello guys. Today we are talking about the solving equations inequalities. Okay, so let's move to the first part of it. So we have already have the equation or quadratic equation like ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, right? So we have several kind of situations. Like first is for factorization, second is the formula, and last is for the completing the squares. Okay, so there are very three typical problems in the A level P1. Okay, so let's just understand how to solve the inequalities. Like here, for x squared bigger than 9, we can set here we have two solutions. That is for x bigger than 3 or x smaller than -3, right? So because x here can choose whether a positive value or negative value, okay? So here we can say x bigger than 3 or x is smaller than -3. So you can just consider here that these problems just have to factorize it and to like making a discussion whether it's bigger than 0 or like smaller than another value, okay? So maybe here, let's try to solve these problems together. So here is that x squared minus 5x plus 6 smaller than 0, right? So we can just try to factorize it, okay? So you can find 6 can be divided into 2 and 3, right? So 2 and 3 added together equals to 5, right? So this can be written as x minus 2 times x minus 3 smaller than 0, right? So we can just try to write down the equations right here. So for x squared, you can find here is a equals to 1. That means it's an U-shaped quadratic equation, right? So here is a U-shaped function. So we have the two roots here is 2 and 3. So we can find here there's a region that is below the x-axis, or we can also say the y is smaller than 0, right? So we can find here that this region is from 2 to 3. So we can say the answer is for x bigger than 2 and then smaller than 3, okay? That is how we can calculate the values right here, okay? So also for next problem, x squared minus 5x plus 6 bigger than 0. So we have already have the functions graph like here that we said it have two intercepts, 2 and 3, right? So you can find here bigger than 0 means like this part, the region above the x-axis, right? So you can find here as x smaller than 2 or x bigger than 3, right? There are two regions that follow the rules, okay? So we can say here x smaller than 2 or x bigger than 3. We can just read it from the graph, okay? And then that's understanding for the negative coefficient. Like here, negative x squared minus x, and here is plus 12. You can try to make it factorizations. So you can just add, maybe here, you can just factorize it as negative x, and here's x. And then we have 2 plus 3, and here's plus 4, right? And it's bigger than 0. So you can just set that we have two roots. One is for x equals to 3, and another is for x equals to -4. So you can just try to understand it as here is for 94 and here is for 3, okay? So you can find here bigger than 0, right? So bigger than 0. Oh, okay. So it's also an N shape, right? Because here you can find the A is smaller than 0, right? So sorry about that. I had to draw like this graph, right? So the red region that obeys the inequalities like 12 minus x squared minus x bigger than 0, right? So we can say here x bigger than 94 and smaller than 3, okay? That is how we can solve the inequalities right here, okay? And there's an exercise for you, so you can just try to solving them on yourself, okay? So maybe for the first problem, x minus 2 times x plus 5 smaller than 0, okay? So we can set here, just trying to understand like drawing the graph like here, and we can set that here is for 95 and here for 2, right? So also it is a U-shaped graph. So it is smaller than 0, like it is a purple shape or purple region, okay? So here we can set x bigger than 95, smaller than 2, okay? So for the second problem, we can just consider it as x squared bigger equal than 9. So x can choose bigger equal than 3 or x smaller than -3, right? And second is for 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 bigger than 0. You can also try to factorize it as 2x and x, here's plus 3, and here's -1 bigger than 0. So then draw the graph like here's -3, here's the half. So you can find here is bigger than 0, right? So bigger than 0 means that this is the region, like the red region here, okay? So the red region we can set like it is smaller than -3 or bigger than a half, okay? That is how we can solving these problems, okay? Yeah, that's for this. This is for these problems, and here's the solutions. You can just check your answers that is correct or not, okay? So that's for this our lesson. Hope you can understanding for how to solving the inequalities in quadratic equations, okay? So see you next time. Bye. Okay.